Hey guys, it's Kelly with Simmons Emporium, and today I'm going to do a video tutorial on the lined zipper bags. Here I have my fabrics pre-cut. I have two small pieces, a lining piece, and an outside piece for the top that's going to be above the zipper. I have one cut for below the zipper, and I have some cut for the back of the bag. I have little pieces of painter's tape on this just so I can tell which side is face up, so that makes it easier for you guys to see in the video, and also just when I put it together I don't want to mess it up. I also have a zipper, which is quite a bit longer than what I'm going to need. This one's actually a little bit too long, but it's what I had. And it's just so that it goes outside the stitch area until the very end. I'm also going to use a little piece of ribbon. You don't have to use this, there's no placement for this, but if you want to use this you can if you want to make a little tab or loop on the end. I have my hoop with tearaway stabilizer, and so I'm going to go ahead and start my design. I'm going to go ahead and run the first two steps of this design, and that's going to give me the outline for my entire bag as well as my zipper placement. Now that I have my placement stitched out, I'm going to put my zipper in between these lines, and I'm going to make sure that the ends of my zipper are outside of these stitch lines. I'm going to secure that with some tape and run the tack down step to put that in. Now that I have my zipper in place, I'm going to flip my hoop over, and I'm going to take my smaller top part of my lining fabric, and I'm going to put that face down, and I'm going to line this up, the straight edge here, with the top part of my zipper placement. So it's actually, the fabric's going to be facing toward the bottom of the bag. I'm going to tape that in place and flip the hoop over and put my top fabric on in exactly the same way. My top piece with my edge, and put this on here, lined up with the top of my zipper. I'll tape it down and put it back in the machine and stitch the next step. I also want to add in here, make sure that both your front piece and your back piece are facing down. So right sides are toward the stabilizer and the piece should be hanging down toward the body. Okay, so now that I have stitched this down, I'm going to leave my lining piece facing down, and I'm going to take off my tape. I am going to use a little bit of basting spray here just because it helps things stay up. I'm going to spritz this just a little bit right here. And you're going to fold back your top piece. Make a nice crease there where that line of stitching is. Make sure that you take off your little piece of tape. And you're going to want to tape this to secure it down, or if you've got basting spray in there and it's going to hold it, that'll work. You're going to put this back in the machine. Make sure that this piece is down. Even if you want to put a little piece of tape on it, that would be great. Put this in the machine, and it's going to stitch the detail for the top part of your bag. Now that we have the top part of our bag finished, we're going to do the bottom part of the bag. So I'm going to turn this over, and now you're going to fold up your lining fabric and get it out of the way. And go ahead and tape this so that it stays out of the way for the rest of the bag completion. If you don't, you'll accidentally sew it down and you'll be sad. So we're going to do the same thing with this piece. We're going to line up our edge, face down. Line up our edge with the bottom line of where our zipper placement was, and we're going to tape that down. And then I'm going to flip the hoop back over. And we're going to put our top piece right side down and put that also lined up with the edge of the zipper, with the bottom edge. It gets a little confusing because it's kind of toward the wrong side when you sew it on, so you're tempted to want to do it the other way, but this is the way that it goes. Okay, now make sure that this piece, your lining piece, stays up. If you want to, go ahead and put a piece of tape or something on that so that it stays out of the way so you don't accidentally sew it to the wrong part there. I'm just going to take this up here just so I know that it doesn't get messed up. You're going to leave this facing up, and you're going to run the next step of your design. Now we've stitched this down, and we're going to kind of do the same thing that we did with the top. I'm going to take off my little pieces of tape, and we're going to fold this down, kind of crease it there along the row of stitching. I'm going to use a little bit of basting spray in here just to help hold this down. The vinyl is a little bit thick and it doesn't necessarily want to lay down there. Make sure you take off your little piece of tape. And if you need to use tape to tape this down, you certainly can. Now I'm going to put this back in the machine, and it's going to stitch the rest of the design for this. Make sure that your front fabric for your bag is facing down, and your lining fabric for the bottom part of your bag is still facing up. We still have this up and taped right here to make sure that it stays out of the way. Now that we have our design done, we're going to keep on going with this. We're going to flip this over to the back, and untape that and put it down. Tape this down so that it's nice and flat across here. Now, put this back over. We're going to unzip the zipper about halfway, just so we're sure that it's not going to get caught in any side seams. You're going to take your back fabric and put this face down. If you wanted to do a little tab on this, and I've lost my little piece, but if you wanted to add a little tab on here, you could do that in this step. Here's my piece. If you wanted to add it over here on the zipper, or you want to add it here on the top, just wherever you want to do that. When I do ribbons like this, I take my lighter, I fold it in half so my raw ends are there together, and I try not to set it on fire, but melt those together. And that way, as you sew, they don't want to slide apart. That way they're nice and tight together. So I'm just going to put this here at the end of my zipper and put a little piece of tape on this guy. Now I'm going to put my fabric face down on the top, and I'm going to run the next step. Okay, we have this done. It looks like it's never going to work, but I promise it is. Flip your hoop over to the back, and you're going to take your last piece of fabric on your right side down over this entire thing right here, and we're going to tape that down, and then we're going to put it in the machine and run the last step. After you've taken this out of the machine and you've trimmed it, you're going to turn this right side out. You're going to find this little opening here between the liner sections, and you're going to turn this right side out through that section. If you have something really thick, like I had said that I did vinyl on mine, and you're having trouble getting these corners to turn right side out, here is what I do. I put my finger in here between these layers, and I kind of pinch it between my thumb and my index finger and kind of flip it over my finger there, and that will turn out most of that point. You can even do that on these that are up in there by the zipper. I put my thumb in here, pinch this, and force that back out. And I use the end of my crochet hook to kind of poke those, just to kind of make sure that they turn, so that that's a little easier. Now, after you've done that, you're thinking, well, now what? You're going to have to open this little piece of stabilizer here in your zipper, and I'll do a better job of tearing this out in a second. And you're going to turn it right side out again through this, and open your zipper very carefully. other way. That last bit out. And now you're going to turn it again. This would be the time where you need to close the lining of your bag. So just fold this over a little bit. I should have left a little bit extra on here. I always forget that. But fold that over and slip stitch that closed before you turn the bag completely right side out. We're going to pretend that I closed this bag just for the sake of time. So you're going to flip it right side out again. As I said, if it's thick or you've used vinyl, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But flip that all right side out. And use your little tool to push your corners out nice and crisp. And there is your fully lined, non-exposed seam zipper bag. Have a great day!